Hi there, I'm Camille Labchuk and I'm running to become Canada's next great Prime Minister. Today I'll be responding to a challenge to my platform posted by another candidate, Michael Crook. So Michael, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video. I really appreciate that you've taken the time to post some questions and engage in dialogue on my platform. So I'm going to try to answer those questions as best as I can. So first of all, you touched on one of my core points, which is that democracy is in crisis. But you're not as sure as I am that the cause is our electoral system. Well, there's certainly no absolute guarantee that moving towards a proportional system will increase voter turnout, but that is the trend in other countries that do have proportional representation. And certainly I think that the millions of Canadians in Canada whose votes have never elected a single MP would disagree with you that voting system is not important for protecting our democracy. So consider my riding, for example. I live in Ottawa-Vanier, and any voter in the riding who knows a little bit about the history of the area would know that never since the Great Depression has a non-Liberal male Francophone MP been elected here. So there may be less of a reason, frankly, to get out to the polls and vote when you feel like the outcome is already predetermined. And this is only one example, but there are many ridings across the country, most of the province of Alberta, for instance, where there are basically safe seats. And it's unlikely that any party other than the one that's presumed to win will actually carry it. So I definitely think we need proportional representation to move forward. We're one of the few countries left in the Western world, one of the few Western democracies that hasn't moved in this direction yet. And Canadians deserve better than the outdated first-past-the-post system. So next, you ask how I would enforce the decorum in Parliament. Well, certainly I can't force other parties, MPs and parties other than my own, to behave better, but I can lead by example, and my ministers can lead by example, and I think it's critical that we clean up question period. And you say it's political theater and it is what it is. Well, I disagree. Question period used to be oratory. 30, 40 years ago, politicians got up there, they gave quite witty, intelligent answers and quite biting questions without being certainly disgraceful and throwing low blows and acting like rowdy school children on the floor of the House of Commons. Now, speaking of school children, one thing I hate is going to question period, which I do fairly often living in Ottawa, and seeing across from me groups of school children from elementary through high school, watching during question period the abysmal behavior of our elected officials. And I always feel very badly that that's one of their first introductions to politics in Canada. So I'm very committed to cleaning up question period and decorum in the House of Commons and in politics in general. So next you asked about my plan to implement a green tax shift, and you state that this was rejected by voters in the last election. Well, I don't think this is true at all. The first point on that is that the debate around the carbon tax and green tax shift certainly wasn't honest. It was certainly influenced by a number of attack ads, and in fact an entire attack campaign launched by the Conservative Party, which certainly spread misinformation, which was not corrected by the media. And I don't believe that Canadians had the opportunity to make an informed decision on a green tax shift due to the volumes of misinformation that were out there swirling on the airwaves. So first of all, I don't think you can say that voters had the opportunity to make informed decisions on that issue, because they simply didn't. And second of all, two parties in the last election advocated for a green tax shift, the Liberals and the Green Party. And combined, those two parties received not quite as much, but close to the percentage that the Conservatives received. Now, I don't hear you saying that the Conservatives were resoundingly rejected by the voters in the last election, so I definitely wouldn't say that the carbon tax was either. Now, the next question you asked about my platform is about my plan to include dental and optical care under the umbrella of our healthcare system. And I'm certainly a little surprised to hear you characterize it by giving designer glasses and straightening the teeth of every Canadian. And I think that the mother who has to turn down the heat a degree or two in the winter to afford her children's new glasses, or the poor family that can't afford to take correct care of their teeth and goes for goes for months or years without being able to get a filling for a rotten tooth, I think they would disagree with you on this one. The way it's set up, dental and optical care aren't covered, and this contributes to class-based health care. Don't think this is what the spirit of the Canada Health Act proposes, and I think that these two items for sure, and others like physiotherapy, must be brought under the umbrella of the Healthcare Act. We know now, for instance, that gum disease is linked to heart disease. So a poorer individual who can't afford to care adequately for his or her teeth and gets gum disease is at greater risk for heart disease as a result. So it's also an issue of preventative medicine. And we want to take steps early on to ensure that we don't have to take more drastic and more expensive steps later in the future. So I hope these answer your questions, Michael, and once again I thank you so much for posting the video in response to mine, and I wish you all the best in the contest as we move forward.